200 years ago, on a stormy night in Geneva, Mary Shelley came up with a story that refused to stay on the page. Frankenstein isn't just a monster story. It's about isolation, revenge, and the power of stories to come alive. So with Guillermo del Toro's new take on the monster, bringing the story to life once again, it got me thinking, what other stories on this shelf should be reanimated? So today we're going to talk about 10 books that in my humble opinion are too good, too alive to stay on the page. Some of the books on this list may be in development or may have rumors to be in development for a movie or a TV series, but as of this moment when I film this video, none of them are an actual movie. So without further ado, and in no particular order, let's get into it. Our first book is right behind me over here. If you pull away the Burning Blade mug, we have Angelica Frankenstein Makes Her Match by Sally Thorne. It's only appropriate that I start this list with yet another Frankenstein story because if you know me, I want Frankenstein every which way that it can possibly be told. And this is such a fun take on the modern Prometheus. This story follows Angelica, who is the younger sister of Victor Frankenstein. She's single and ready to mingle, but she can't find love. So when she's assisting her brother with reanimating this assembled man, she gets the idea, you know what? I don't have to look for love. I can build it. So your girl crafts the perfect man, but when he comes to life, he can't remember who he is, and he's obsessed with discovering his true identity, and he's less interested in love, so the whole thing kind of backfires on her. Imagine it, a gothic rom-com, moody candlelit labs taking you through a journey of creation, love, and identity. Come on, Hollywood. This is a book that is begging to be made into a movie. Next up, we have the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. If you know me, you shouldn't be shocked that this book is on my list because I am obsessed with this Steel Magnolias meets Fright Night story. Set in the 90s, we got your girl Patricia. She's overwhelmed with a husband that works too much, kids that are growing distant, and a mother-in-law that requires a lot of care. Her only real escape is the book club with the ladies of the neighborhood. And then one day, a charming, secretive, mysterious man moves in down the street, and oh yeah, he's a vampire. The problem? Nobody believes her. It's dark, it's emotional, it's the perfect mix of like nostalgia and horror, kind of in the same vein as Stranger Things. Now allegedly, HBO was adapting this beautiful, beautiful story into a TV series, but it seems like that's not happening anymore, which makes me very sad. Now, not just because this is one of my favorite books of all time, but because the writers, Danny McBride and Edie Patterson, do those names ring a bell? Do they? Because it's the same people who wrote The Righteous Gemstones. So imagine the genius, the mixture of storytelling in The Righteous Gemstones, but with Grady Hendrix vampires, we need it. And if it doesn't come to fruition, I'll probably riot. Next up, we have How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. Did you really think that I was only gonna have one Grady Hendrix book on this list? This twisted family drama disguised as a haunted house story follows Louise, who finds out that both of her parents died. So she has to make her way back home and deal with her deadbeat brother as well as a potentially possessed puppet. And neither one of those things are gonna make getting this house ready to sell very easy. This book would make a brilliant horror drama with just a hint at a comedy. And honestly, it was traumatic, okay? I went through an emotional roller coaster reading this book, but I'm willing to go through that trauma again to see this on the big screen. Up next, another Grady Hendrix. I'm just kidding. Or am I? No, I really am. But the next one is, in fact, a horror comedy because it's my brand. We have the Living with the Dead series by Jesse Peterson. Imagine that you're having marital issues and you're on the verge of divorce. So to save your marriage, you sign up for couples therapy. But when you get there, the therapist is eating the client that was before you. So now you're in the middle of the zombie apocalypse and you have to survive it with the person that's driving you nuts. But through the process, you learn to love each other again. If that sounds like fun, you're gonna love this trilogy that is severely underrated. So each chapter of this book starts with some sort of marital advice. Give each other compliments every day. Even when the undead attack, it's nice to feel pretty or badass. So like imagine the rules of Zombieland with the tone of Santa Clarita Diet, but with a marriage on the fritz, and that is a movie that I want to watch. Next, we have The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. 15 years ago, 3 girls disappeared from a summer camp. Now the camp is reopening. And the former roommate of these girls that disappeared, she's all grown up, she's a counselor, and she's back trying to discover the truth of what happened. This was the first Riley Sager book that I ever read, and I was instantly obsessed with his storytelling. Imagine a story that blends the psychological tension of Gone Girl, but with the eerie summer camp setting of Friday the 13th, and you get this right here. And if that doesn't paint the picture of a movie that you'd like to go to the theater, sit in the comfy chairs and just eat way too much popcorn while you're sipping on an icy, come on, that's good stuff. The next book on this list is How to Survive a Horror Story by Mallory Arnold. A famous horror author, oh my God, I can't say that. A famous horror author. Ooh, I don't like those words next to each other. Let's start over. A dude that writes spooky stories. He passes away, and he invites a bunch of writers to his house for his last will and testament. Now, they all show up thinking, we're gonna get a piece of this rich man's money, but they find out when they get there, they're actually there to play a game of survival. You see, they have to pass from room to room by answering riddles. And if they don't get it right, the house, it eats you. I actually just finished reading this book and it was so fun to read. It is perfect for the transition from October into November. And honestly, it's like Saw meets Knives Out, Glass Onion kind of a deal. And I just think this would be so cool to see how they would make these sets and these games and these riddles and all the crazy things that happens in this book. I want to see them in real life, like in front of my eyes instead of hallucinating off of a dead tree. I think it would be beautiful and I want to see this monstrous house come alive. Next, we have Lougarou NOPD Detective by J.E. Jack. You knew there was going to be a werewolf book on this list. If anything, you're shocked that it took this long to get to the werewolf book on this list. Now, I did a review on this book because it is my brand. It's New Orleans, it's werewolves. We have literally a werewolf detective who keeps the peace in New Orleans between the human world and the supernatural creatures. But then he has to solve a crime that threatens to unravel the streets of the Crescent City. Imagine the movie Dylan Dog, but like if it was good and with a werewolf. Imagine the series Moonlight, but instead of a vampire detective in LA, you have a werewolf detective in the better LA. There's a lot of reasons that I want to see this adapted into a movie. Okay, we got werewolves, we've got New Orleans, it's all the things that I love and I know. But the real reason is I know that the monster design, the werewolf design of this character would be chef's kiss. And I quote, "Contrary to popular belief, I know the stories. They think that werewolves just turn into large, cutesy wolves or into a dog-like form. I don't do that. I have an entire series of videos dedicated to me hating on the dog, wolf, werewolf design. It's not for me. I don't care what lore says, okay? I like movies and monster movies because the creativity that goes into these designs and that half man, half wolf, how are they gonna make this look? That's fun. I don't wanna see a dude turn into a wolf. That's so uncreative. I don't care. I don't care what is factual with the lore. I don't want facts. I want movie creativity. I want whimsy. And at the end of the day, who doesn't want a New Orleans setting for a spooky story with a hint at a mystery? Up next, we have the High Moor series by Graham Reynolds. You really thought I was only gonna have one werewolf book on this list? John Simpson is forced to go back to his hometown when he hears news of a deadly animal attack. It brings back all these childhood memories as he is a survivor of a werewolf attack. So he decides to go back home and figure out what's going on and stop it once and for all. But here's the catch. Your boy is a werewolf. So how is he going to stop a werewolf when on the full moon, he's also wolfing out? This story is basically it, but with werewolves. Going back and forth from the 80s to present day with these adults who are dealing with the trauma of their childhood. And the transformation scenes in this book, they are described grotesquely, beautifully grotesquely. So I know for a fact that we would get some sick, beautiful werewolf designs, which is exactly what I like to see in cinema. Now this series is a trilogy, but I'm gonna be very honest. I loved the first one. It did have a little bit of a slower pace than I liked. I wanted them to kind of like get on with it. Didn't really care for 2 and 3 that much. There was some good parts in it, which is why I think this would be great as a movie, because you could take all the great parts of all 3 of these and condense them into one beautiful werewolf tale. Let's do it. Next up, we have The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This one is a little bit different than everything else on my list. We're not talking about monsters or horror, unless we're talking about the horror of facing the choices that we have made in life. In this beautiful story, we have Nora, who finds a library that is full of books with all the different versions of her life. The idea of a library that holds books that are all just different versions of my life, depending on the choices that I've made, from something small to something big, is terrifying, intriguing, and kind of just plain heavy. But I love it, and this is the kind of story that is made for a big screen. And I know that if this ever does make it to the movies, I'm gonna need to bring a lot of Kleenex because I'll be crying me. And last on this list is Dracul by Dr. Stoker and J.D. Barker. I think it's only appropriate that we end this list similar to how we started it, with an iconic book that has been famously made into a movie again and again. This prequel to Dracula was written by Bram Stoker's great-grandnephew, and it bridges that gap between like fantasy and reality, reimagining the true story of the events that inspired the most iconic vampire of all time. This story is perfect for a cinematic adaptation, and the dark academia vibes would be top-notch, and let's be real honest, we always want more Dracula.
I feel like all these 10 books have the basic theme of Frankenstein, what it means to be alive and to face the monsters that we create in life. But at the end of the day, honestly, I just feel like all of these are way too good to just stay on the page.
Okay, now it's your turn. Which of your favorite books would you like to see come to life on the big or little screen? Let me know in the comments down below. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so when new videos hit the channel, you'll be notified. And as always, thank y'all for watching, and I'll catch you nerds later!